Barwood with you, Golf.
Lima Echo, Quebec. Report established, 3 mile final, runway 11, traffic ahead doing the same at Tobago. Sierra for Romeo, stop, stop, stop.
No one wants this to happen, but unbelievably, there are hundreds of runway incursions every year around Australia. So to stop you becoming a statistic, we'll give you some useful tips and advice on how to taxi safely. Today, there are millions of tower operations annually, and the numbers are growing. Pilots are challenged with more complex air traffic procedures, more complicated layout design, and more, it's an environment of real risk. At many of our busy secondary aerodromes around the country, Class D procedures have now been established. Before operating at these aerodromes, which include major training locations such as Bankstown, Moorabbin and Jandakot, it's essential that you're familiar with the specific entry and clearance requirements, both airborne and on the ground. Know what an abbreviated airspace clearance means, and brush up on taxi and start clearances. In the air and on the ground, pilots need to develop strategies and plan effectively to manage risk by following procedures, using current aerodrome charts and planning taxi routes. One of the first keys to situational awareness is attention to detail even before you start your engine. Always anticipate your taxi route, basing your plans on the ATIS and NOTAMs, and where possible, talk to the locals. It's also essential to study your departure and arrival aerodrome charts, paying particular attention to complex intersections, especially those crossing runways. And it's a good idea to carry the charts with you when taxiing. You may need to check them if your planned route is not available. Charts are available in the CASA, in departure and approach procedures, and on VTCs. A positive step to avoiding runway incursions is following good taxiing procedures. So let's hear from someone who should know.
The main reason for runway incursions is probably pilots being unfamiliar with the airport and possibly not studying their CASA well enough before they go to the unfamiliar airport. So if they can look at their CASA in detail before they go, and very importantly, ask the tower for assistance if they're unfamiliar with the area. Get taxiway guidance and keep your eyes open, keep your eyes outside, and always stay well clear of the holding point and keep it in view at all times, so that if your feet slip off the brakes or if you get distracted for a moment, you don't accidentally creep forward onto the runway. And be mindful that once you go past the holding point, you are actually on the runway. The gable markers might actually be in a slightly different place.
Situational awareness is vital to your survival, so you should minimize heads-down activities, avoid distractions, and maintain a sterile cockpit so you can remain focused on the task at hand. Know and understand all the signs, markings and lights. Use your chart and monitor the radio to assist locating other aircraft and airside vehicles. If you become doubtful about your location, firstly, make sure you're clear of the runway, stop the aircraft, and then contact ATC for help. If you appear to have radio troubles, look to the tower for a light signal. Always comply with hold short or runway crossing instructions. When instructed to hold short, stop behind the first solid line of the runway holding point. These markings will always be set back from the runway and never aligned with the edge of the sealed surface. You must never cross a runway holding point without a clearance.
Whiskey Kilo, cross runway 15, taxi via the taxiway holding point Bravo 2.
Cross runway 15 and taxi via the taxiway to Bravo 2, Whiskey Hotel Kilo.
Scan the length of the runway and the approaches, even if you've received a clearance. Expect the unexpected. If you're given an instruction by ATC to line up and wait, remain aware and continue scanning for aircraft on final and on the runway. In some instances, similar sounding call signs have been a factor in the wrong aircraft lining up. Make sure that any instruction to line up or cross a runway is specifically directed to you.
Hotel Quebec Romeo, hold position.
Holding position, Hotel Quebec Romeo.
Sierra Foxtrot Romeo, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, Sierra Foxtrot Romeo.
Take note of the amount of time that passes, and if you're held for more than 90 seconds beyond your departure time, contact ATC. After landing, use utmost caution where the exit taxiways intersect another runway, especially where there's parallel runways. Don't exit onto another runway without a clearance. Be on your guard and keep a good lookout. Remember, you must have a clearance before you cross or enter any runway. At non-towered aerodromes, it's up to good airmanship and keeping a good lookout for aircraft on final. And giving the appropriate calls before entering the runway. Remain alert at all times. Effective pilot-controller communications is vital to safe aerodrome operations. Pilots can help by using standard phraseology that is clear and concise.
Jennifer Tower, Charlie Alpha Romeo is ready at the holding point of runway 12 for runway 06 left.
Charlie Alpha Romeo, enter runway 12, hold short, runway 06 left.
Enter runway 12, hold short of runway 06 left, Charlie Alpha Romeo.
Here are some things to consider. Always state your position when making contact with a ground or tower controller. Focus on what ATC is telling you. Acknowledge all clearances and read back the required elements and end the transmission with your call sign. A simple Wilco or Roger won't do. When holding, monitor the tower frequency for any conflicts involving your runway. Also listen to what the controller is saying to other aircraft. It can have a critical bearing on your safety. Again, the key is situational awareness. Be sure you understand all air traffic control instructions. If you receive a clearance you don't understand, that's only partly received, or that's contrary to your position on the airport, verify the instruction.
If you're ever in doubt, ask air traffic control. That's what we're here to do, to provide a service to aircraft and to guide you to where you need to go. Whether you're a 5,000-hour pilot or whether you're a 50-hour pilot, we're happy to help, and you should feel happy to ask air traffic control for that help.
Runway incursions happen when aircraft enter or cross a runway without a clearance. In some instances, it's when a controller makes a mistake. So if you're unsure, check and double-check. Markings, signs and lights are designed to assist you in navigating around an aerodrome. And there are some common principles to remember. Runway markings are white, although yellow taxiway centerlines may lead on, lead off and cross the runway. Taxiway markings are yellow. Markings on aprons and ramps may include other colors. Holding markings on taxiways consist of multiple lines, some solid and some dashed. It's permissible to cross from the dashed to the solid side. This is mainly after landing when exiting a runway. Take note, the dashed side faces the runway and ATC permission is always required to cross from the solid to the dashed side. So when you're told to hold short, stop before the first solid line. Additionally, at holding points, you should see signs and gable markers. However, at some aerodromes, these may not be used. There are usually 4 types of signs at aerodromes, and it's essential that you understand the color coding. Location signs identify the taxiway you're on. They have a yellow inscription on a black background. Mandatory instruction signs identify the entrance to a runway or to a critical or prohibited area. They have white inscriptions on a red background. Direction signs identify the taxiways leading out of an intersection with an arrow indicating the approximate direction of turn needed. They're located before the intersection, normally with a location sign. They have a yellow background with black inscriptions. Destination signs identify with arrows the direction to a destination like a runway or a terminal. They also have a yellow background with black inscriptions. There are many lighting combinations at different aerodromes. For taxiing operations, remember the following. Runway edge lights are white, but with high-intensity lighting, the last 600 meters will be yellow. Runway guard lights are flashing yellow either in the pavement or on the side of the taxiway. They highlight a holding point. Taxiway edge lights or reflectors are blue. Taxiway centerline lights are green. Pilots, controllers and drivers of airside vehicles all rely on their eyes as primary sensors. The simple fact is that our eyes don't work as well at night. The visual acuity we lose, combined with inconsistent cockpit lighting, reflections, rain, snow or fog, make taxi, takeoff and landing operations a real challenge. So, simple tips when to use your lights are: while your engines are running, turn on the rotating beacon. Prior to taxiing, turn on navigation, taxi and logo lights. When you're given a clearance to cross a runway, turn all lights on. But be aware of other aerodrome users. Don't dazzle their eyes. And when lining up and waiting, consider lining up a meter to the left or right of the center line, so pilots on short final can better distinguish your aircraft from the runway lights. If you see an aircraft with its landing lights on, it's a clear signal the aircraft is about to or is moving down the runway for takeoff. To be more conspicuous, it's a good idea to use your lights during the day as well as at night. It's all very simple. All you need is a good dose of common sense and to remain constantly vigilant. So let's have a look at what we've discussed. Always look, listen, and expect the unexpected. Know where you are and where you're going. Maintain situational awareness. Study the aerodrome charts before taxiing. Identify complex intersections and potential runway crossings. When instructed to hold short, stop behind the first solid line marked on the taxiway. Always obtain a clearance before crossing a runway holding point. Continually scan the runway and final approach for aircraft. When communicating with air traffic control, listen before transmitting. If you don't know, ask.